Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types. Why don't you say hello?
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And for those keeping score at home, this is episode 47, I do believe. I know it's a big deal knowing what the next number is. Um, anyway, hopefully you're having a good week. Hopefully you can get into live and play the game. Most people can. Not everyone, though, unfortunately, and hopefully Pokemon addresses that. They have not yet, so I'm guessing it's not going to happen this calendar year as the year wears on, but that is what it is, I suppose. But let's talk about things that we can consider, and that is mechanics, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I
Go on.
want to talk about. You mentioned live. They recently had
Yes,
an update.
they did.
I believe they fixed. Well, do you read the patch notes? I did not,
I
but did you?
did. Yes, they fixed. They didn't do. It wasn't a big fix like I was hoping it was going to be, but they did fix the Toad Scroll, which you had been fussing about that.
Yeah, I did see. I was playing. My opponent used Pokestop, and it looked different. It discarded the cards and then brought them back, which is what I
Okay,
was
so
assuming.
that's doing correct. And I think they were going to fix some of the sudden death mechanics, I believe. Um,
Okay.
I don't. I think you still only have one prize card, which isn't correct.
No,
But
I was looking up about sudden death. I recently actually played sudden death, and we were
in
with
live,
like someone in person. Well, in
oh
person.
IRL. Okay, yep.
We were like arguing, and I think it's very hard to figure out what the right ruling is. From
Okay.
what I can understand, it is generally one prize. You put out one prize,
Oh, it's.
but then
Oh, okay.
but in tournament settings, and when people actually do it, they do all six prizes, and so you have to get ahead on prizes, which
Hmm.
actually means it's not take the first prize, but it's beat up. So if you use something that gives your opponent an extra prize, you would also win. I
Hmm.
don't know. It's
Or if you
super
then
hard
played.
to find.
Okay, so it's not clear. Well, I guess it's probably obviously there's the rules for how to run a tournament, but they don't actually apply outside of a tournament structure. So, and that's probably where the ruling is about the six prizes. So maybe Live got something correct.
Maybe it's very hard to see. Obviously, it's not like a super common thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. If anyone like, I don't know if anyone has a link to like current official ruling, because there are a bunch of rulings that I think were official, but I think they've changed the rulings throughout the history like a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if anyone knows the official like rule, that's like fully explained, because
Mm-hmm.
usually when people say it, they just say it's whoever like you do. It's a one prize game, but that doesn't mean it's a. But does that mean it's a game where you lay out one prize or where you um
Lay out
take one
six and you just
prize?
take one of the
Yeah.
six.
So I think in the official rules it says it's a one prize game. That's what pretty much what everyone says and refers back
Mm-hmm.
to, but it's not clear. That doesn't actually explain it. So yeah.
Right, because I recently had it with sudden death because I was playing. Well, the one of them was where you flip a coin, your opponent's Pokemon's knocked out. So that was
Oh yeah, coughing, right?
was that what
Or wheezing.
wheezing? Yeah. So you get a few sudden deaths going that way, and you get there, and you go to one card, and I got second, one prize, and I got my supporter for turn was Roxanne, and it was not a happy experience for me.
Oh wait,
But
they Roxanne you.
no, I mean not Roxanne. It was Iono. Sorry, I had Iono. So
Yeah.
I Iono'd for one because I didn't have anything else to do. But I didn't have a lot of hope at that point in the game because
Yeah,
then they
okay.
were getting their second turn. They had a couple cards in play, and it wasn't. Hey, with that deck I was playing, I probably wasn't going to win it anyway. But anyway, certain things like you couldn't use. I think like Squawkabilly wouldn't work or things like that.
Oh
Could use
yeah.
Battle VIP Pass. There was questions like that. Some things worked your first turn, and some things didn't in sudden death.
Yeah. Fun thing about Squawkabilly, for a little while I was playing a bunch of Entei Iron Valiant, which
Hmm.
was Squawkabilly and Medicham. So
Yep.
obviously Squawkabilly, you use it on your first turn of the game.
Right.
And then Medicham obviously gives you another turn, right?
Yep.
But I think you kind of see where this is going. If you Squawkabilly and then you Medicham, it lets you Squawkabilly again on your next turn, which is wrong.
Right. It's your second. Your
It's,
opponent hasn't had their second turn, but it's your second turn.
yeah, it's not like you can take. I don't. I'm almost certain that that's wrong. I'm not 100% certain that it's
Hmm.
wrong, but it seems wrong. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, and you do draw for turn, right? So therefore, I
yeah,
think
you
it's
two
got
you
to be
it, it
a new
y-
turn. I
yeah.
think.
I mean, unless there's some like weird definition to new turn, like multiple different definitions to new turns. but I don't think there is.
Right.
So yeah, I think the way that live counts turns is just wrong. And we don't have a game log, but if we did, I think we would see that it's just it's like fundamentally wrong, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and the sequencing and stuff, which you said they've now cleaned up with the Pokestop, right? Goes the discard back to hand. It was just putting the items directly into hand. So they're taking shortcuts that work most of the time, but then cause trouble. Like I've said before, in expanded with Eternus VMAX, that you path and Cadex swell, you swell, you temporarily lose Eternus's ability, and then it kicks back, which is problematic too. They're not sequencing things quite right.
Yeah. Oh, a little last bit of complaining about live. I think it was yesterday. It was a few days
Yeah.
ago. Certainly a few days ago from posting this.
Hmm.
That I had the classic bug of not being able to select cards. I think it was off a Battle VIP Pass or Nest
Yeah.
Ball. Oh, and then the other bug is the cards like being layered on top of each other, which is like super weird. We can
Hmm.
like faintly see the outline of some other card. Still no idea why that happens,
Yeah.
but that probably happens like half my games or something like
Does it?
that.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't.
it's not like super noticeable, but it probably happens to a lot of people and they just don't notice it. You need to go out of your way to look for it because it's like weird. It's a
Mhm.
faint silhouette of another card like on top of or like
Oh,
under
so
your card.
yeah. Sometimes, and you see text through. Is that part of it
Yeah,
too?
you'll see the text, you'll see all the stuff, I think.
Hmm.
Um I have no idea why this, except it's not in like color, but I have no idea why it happens. Um I imagine it has to do with the way obviously it's coded.
Yeah.
And probably the way they store their art, it's probably stored in multiple layers. And so it's putting the one layer incorrectly on top of it. It's very strange. So yeah, hopefully live gets better. We've said this for a while and it
Hmm.
hasn't gotten that much better really.
No, it's
Um,
better than it was like 6 months ago. I think it's fair to say, but it's not where. But it's
yeah,
not where it
I
should be.
guess. I
It
don't know if
should
it's
be
better.
better than this.
Yeah.
Um, the one visual glitch that I enjoy is sometimes the top card of my discard pile flicks back and forth between two different cards. Some games
Yes,
for me.
I've seen that. I do not know why that happens either.
But anyway, but the future of just in terms of what's coming out with live, and just in Pokemon in general, we have this special set coming out in January, which with the live ladder resetting, we probably won't get any new decks. Well, we'll get, I don't know what kind of decks we'll get because there aren't really many cards in the new set. It's a
Wait,
special.
so the live ladder is
The
resetting?
ladder resets in January when whatever the shiny set is that comes out. It is.
Oh,
But
I think I know what it's going to be. I think it's going to be the world stacks. Is that what it was last time? I
that's
think
what they
that's what it was.
did. Yes, that's what they did last time. So when they gave us four worlds decks, two at the start at tier 0 and two at tier 25. So maybe they'll do
Yeah.
that again.
Mhm. I feel like that was for the celebration of like something though, right?
So it was the
Wasn't it?
celebration of the beta becoming global, which was a
Yeah.
joy to us all. And of course, we also got that as our deck boxes and sleeves that we cherish so much
Yeah.
from the.
So,
But then
anyway,
what happens then in March? The
yeah.
next expansion comes out, and probably rotation happens at that time. It's suspected, but not known.
Yeah. And that leads us perfectly, maybe, to our next point, which is
Hmm.
when Paradox Rift was revealed, or when what we just kind of assumed was Paradox Rift, they obviously
Right.
revealed the Paradox Pokemon, and I believe this was at Worlds or
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
Worlds.
I believe it was a video at Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they showed an Ace Spec card, or like a silhouette of an Ace Spec card.
Yep.
And we kind of assumed that they were coming together, but obviously they didn't. We haven't seen anything about Ace Specs, at least at the time of this recording this.
Right.
Which isn't that far from when we're releasing it. But uh, and so we haven't seen anything from them, but presumably they're coming and probably coming in our March like the first main expansion of next year. Do you think?
I think so. I mean, we're halfway through the year of since the Scarlet and Violet, right? We're halfway through that set,
No,
aren't we? I think we have four Scarlet and Violet sets have been released, right?
but usually it's 12. Like,
Well, the first year of Scarlet and Violet, this block, the whatever letter block it is, in that sense, right? We're halfway through the D,
no,
the G,
wouldn't
aren't
we
we?
be all the way through it?
The G block?
Yeah, wouldn't it be done essentially?
When? Now?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well,
I
anyway,
think it's the whole the block
oh,
is
the
is the
calendar
year.
year. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
You're right. It's out of
it's not based on worlds.
that's true. Okay, so I take that back. So, um, but yes, so I think right, it won't come out in the mini set. I don't. That would be a big shock. And
Yeah, and we've had most of those cards revealed as well,
yeah, they've been released in
or
Japan,
all of them.
mostly in Japan. Which ones we get in released internationally probably isn't fully identified, but I think the pool is identified. But there's more Japanese sets coming out before the full R set in March that we're going to be pulling from. So probably see
Yeah,
Ace Specs.
yeah, and I think we know essentially nothing from that set, which is fine. I mean, Paradox
Yep.
Drift obviously wasn't that long ago, so
No.
yeah. But speaking of Ace Specs and these
Yep.
types of different mechanics, well, I guess I'll just say what Ace Specs are. Ace Specs were all items. I'll put an asterisk next to that, but they are essentially all
They
items.
were items when they
Uh,
were printed.
yeah, they were all items when they were printed. And then they all say you can only play one Ace Spec card in your deck.
Right.
Um,
Like Radiant
uh,
Pokemon for people they haven't been playing that long. Right. You
yeah,
can
they're
only play.
essentially the same.
Yep.
That being said, as I said, they are like kind of items. As you said, they used to be all items. Some of them are
Right.
tools.
Yep.
And then they came out in the black and white era, and I guess the plasma era. I'm not super familiar with all the sets, but yeah, they were near the end of the black and white era, and
Mm.
they're coming back. In presumably in a similar way. First of all, do you think they are going to bring back tools? Like, what types of cards do you think they're going to be? Are they all going to be items, or are they going to have like supporters and other things?
It's a good question. I'm assuming not supporters. I mean, because these are very powerful cards. We start to talk about some of the specifics. So I think one super powerful supporter could be probably would be too overwhelming, right? Because supporters are pretty good already. Um, so I'm guessing items, maybe tools, but like you said, the tools are very Pokemon specific, so they were less impactful at the time. So I'm probably just
I
items.
guess they were pretty good. One was good.
Okay.
Or I guess two were.
Do you
Anyway,
think they're just
so
items? Is that your thought?
no, I think they are going to print tools.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know. It's kind of weird because they're now not all one type of card, but
Right. If the tools you think will be Pokemon specific like they were before?
well, not all of them were Pokemon specific.
Okay.
I think the best there are two. There are I think four. Yeah, I think there's four top Ace specs. We're going to talk about I think all of
Yep.
them some, but there's four top ones. Two of them are tools. One of the tools was Pokemon specific, which and they're playable and expanded now. But the tools that are Pokemon specific are all bad because the Pokemon aren't like good, and expanded. But
Right.
then the
But the general, the
other
regular items that are still items are those strong ones are still very good. I think they fixed it if you're playing live. That I think that items are now the aspects are under items. They used to be under Pokemon.
Actually, it was I think only some of the Ace specs were
Oh,
under
was it
Pokemon. I
split?
think, yeah, I think it was
Okay.
split, but I think it's right now.
Okay.
And I'd say in terms of power level, you said that supporters obviously are generally stronger than items. These
Yes.
items are essentially the power level of supporters.
Yes.
Two of the most notable ones are just supporters that are or have appeared as supporters but are items. The same effect as supporters. If that makes sense.
Yeah. A supporter printed on an item is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you can only have one in your deck because you could do unlimited ones per turn otherwise, which would be problematic. The other nice look, live is flawed. Fortunately, the economy in live is better. In PTCGO, the top ones were very expensive to get. I will say because they were super powerful. In live, they're cheap to get, which is at least that's a
Like
plus.
how cheap?
In live,
Yeah, yeah.
they're just items, so at most they're 400. I think.
Wait, they're just regular items?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd have to take a look. I haven't crafted them all, so I believe they're pretty cheap.
Okay, that's cool. I hope they're cheap. Honestly, I'd say if they're even, I said they could be like 1,000. I wouldn't be like saying that's outrageous. That's still much cheaper than PTGO, where they were like unaffordable. The
It
best
was
ones.
right. The best ones were like what 40 packs or 50 packs or something like that, or maybe more.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
possibly more. I don't know. It was a lot. It was like you need to like essentially spend, because the way the PTZero economy worked was pretty much you need to grind a bunch when a new set came out.
Yeah.
And you could probably spend all that stuff you grinded for on getting an Ace Spec.
Hmm.
Like one of the maybe like one of the top the good Ace Specs. But anyway, so
Right.
which Ace Spec do you want to start on? Should we just go
Uh,
in order?
sure. Well, assuming our order is the same, which is G Booster. Is that the first one?
Well, I'd say the other one, like new to old or old to new.
Ultra
Sorry.
new. So Gold Potion,
Yeah.
which is an okay one, right? You heal 90 from your active Pokemon, which is obviously good for an item. Obviously, if we had that as a regular item, you could play four of and didn't have to bump out your other Ace Spec. It would be you'd play it, but I'm not sure this. I don't know if this saw play or not. Do you know?
I don't think I saw very much play. I mean, it's like okay. We're gonna talk about some that are like super good. I think it's playable. Um, it or was playable, but it's just not obviously like insane. Because there are items that heal this much, and then obviously our supporters.
Yeah.
Um, do you think so? If this came out now as an A spec,
Hmm.
this wouldn't really see any play, right? Assuming we had like the other A specs.
Um, I don't think so. I mean, Snorlax could stall is good. Would you put it in that over something
I don't
else?
think so. No, I think the other. Well, no. There's one that's definitively better.
Okay, so
Um,
probably. Oh, by the way, I looked it up. It costs 600 credits to craft, so a little more than I thought,
okay,
but
that's
not bad. The same as an EX Pokemon.
okay. Yeah, that's very fair. I'd take that.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd say this. Do you think this is gonna? Well, first of all, do you think they're going to reprint some of the A specs? I think they are.
I think so. I mean, I think so. They're very iconic, and people know a bunch of these cards for what they are. So I'm assuming they will. The question will be, will they print the very best ones or not? That's probably the big question, right? Because there are a couple that were super good, and if that's what they reprint those, it'll push out everything else. I think
I'd say those are the iconic ones. Like
that's true.
people aren't like Gold Potion. When people think A specs, they don't think Gold Potion. So
Fair
like
enough.
if this is like the power level, like this isn't outrageously like bad. Um,
Right. Well,
do you think they're gonna reprint Gold Potion directly, or I'd say they should probably buff up the healing some.
yeah, it's not adequate. Certainly, Pokemon HP is higher and damage is higher, so that should be increased if they do it.
Yeah, I'd say it would be to like 150 maybe. Would that be a good number?
Maybe. I mean, it's higher than I would have thought, but maybe.
What would you say? What would you
I
say
would have
would
said
be
like
like an
120 was the number I would have said just
Yeah, I think
naturally.
120 would make would be what they did. I think 120 wouldn't be enough.
I,
Um,
yeah, I probably still. I don't think I'd play it. I'm not sure if any deck would want it in that case.
yeah, we're kind of thinking of I'm thinking of like a Shion Gudra.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like 120 would be good. I don't know. I think Gold Potions as a concept is fine. Obviously, it's not a very interesting card, but it's fine.
Right. It's boring. There's other cards that do it. It just does more, right? You can heal 30 off an item, so now you heal 90 instead.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I don't think there's too much to say about Gold Potion.
No, no, I think that's enough.
Yeah. Next up, we got Crystal Wall and Crystal Edge.
Yep.
So these are for the Curums. I honestly don't remember. I don't think any of these saw play. So Crystal Wall says if this card is attached to Black Curum
Hmm.
EX, its HP is 300 instead of like um
It was probably a
what
big
was it like
jump, right?
it was probably here. I'll just pull up one. It was 180. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
So 180 to 300 is a pretty big deal. And the other one is if it's attached to a White Curum EX, each of its attacks do 50 more to the points active, which is pretty good, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
I think these are. So obviously we don't have these cards, right? There aren't Black Hero EX and White Hero EX in format,
Right.
but this would probably be on. What Pokemon do you think it would be on? Like,
If they did these two, and obviously you'd like to
yeah,
have it related again, right?
yeah, I
Which,
think probably Koraidon and Miraidon, maybe.
yeah, you could do that. I'm trying to think. I mean, Koraidon just hasn't been very good, so
Yeah, but I mean, if it has like, so I feel like
I'm trying. Which
300
so
is
which
enough, but it could be more as well.
yeah, because you said the buff was how much? 100 plus.
180 to 300.
So 120 buff, and it was like buffed it by a third. So if you go So you need to at buff it 150 or more. So you need to go what 350, somewhere in the mid
Yeah, I think
300s.
350 is probably fine. It's kind of weird because high HP isn't super valuable right now. Like it's fine, but um,
Right. There's a lot of decks that have high HP or that accessibility with these stage 2 EXs, but they don't necessarily succeed because of that.
yeah. Like Yardvar EX is still probably getting one shotted. It's not always being one shot. Godwar's kind of a weird deck, anyways. But
Right. And we have
yeah,
Roaring Moon now. So even if you got to 500 HP, Roaring Moon's just going to one shot you in the process.
yeah. Um, and
And
then Crystal Edge boosting 50. Boosting 50 is pretty good.
yeah, but just to one
Um,
particular Pokemon, is that I don't know that that's
I don't
enough.
know. Yeah, I feel like if it's a good card, like I think if it was like boosting 50 to Miraidon, that would be good. Um,
Yeah.
I think it was boosting 50 to Miraidon, it wouldn't be as good. Because
Well,
obviously, like,
50 is not. It needs to be 60, right? Because it does 220. You need to get to 280.
I do think six would definitely be better. I think 50's okay. There are ways of doing additional damage, like because we don't want these to be super broken. But yeah, I'd say probably 60 would be better, and then
Because I don't think it would also make Miraidon. Look, Miraidon's a solid deck anyway, but it's not an earth changing thing to go to have one tool
I,
that could do 60 for the deck.
yeah, I don't think we want to like. I don't think the tools should make. I don't think the tools should like break the game. I think they
Yeah.
should be good, but like I think a broken game is just like essentially by definition bad. But
No, I
yeah, I
agree.
think
I mean, kind of how the Radiant Pokemon, which we may talk about some of those too, right? There's a couple that are mostly used and they're good, but they don't. It didn't turn the game upside down either, which is a plus.
yeah, I do. Well, yeah,
What?
definitely. Reading Cringe is very good.
It
I
is
will
very
say.
good, and obviously, like Radiant Greninja and then Radiant Charizard 2, Radiant Greninja gets played a ton, right? It's kind of like there's this one or two Ace Specs, which we're just about to get to, that like dominates over everything else, and kind of Radiant Greninja's in that slot in that regard.
Yeah. I think we should actually. I want to skip over.
Okay,
Let's look at Victory Piece, G Scope, and G Booster real quick.
okay,
Um, so apparently there's a card called Vic. I don't like know these cards very well. I know one of them, but so Victory Piece. If this card is attached to Victini EX, Victini EX can use just attacks regardless of the amount or type of energy attached to it.
which is
So that's pretty interesting.
yeah. And,
Obviously,
and
it's
and and these EXs
good.
are the capital EXs, just in case, right? So even if they were to come back, they these are different than our current EXs.
Yeah. So I think that, but I think like that's an interesting gimmick.
It is.
I'm looking at the cards. No, and it's not a good card. Okay. It's because its attack cost is fire colorless, which is obviously, um,
It's a fire
that's not
Pokemon,
crazy.
so right, you can get the energy type on. I mean, it would
I think
work
if
with the Terra type, right, where you're changing type maybe, and then you could put it in something different, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, or even a non-Terra Pokemon, like if it's um, it could be like any card, but I think it would be cool if we see um we might talk about this later, but if it was like Paradox piece, you could or like Future piece or Ancient piece, you could stick this on any like future Pokemon, and now
Hmm.
its attacks are free, and that'd be super cool. That would be probably a little broken, but um
Yeah.
something like what is it, the Elemental badge, which did for
Um, Jolteon.
Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon.
Yeah.
All three of those retreat attack cost is one colorless less. I think that'd be cool and fair and balanced.
Yeah. And again, that right. I was right. Those for the tools are the good comparable, more recent thing, right? It was those were a set of Pokemon, like three Pokemon or something for each of those badges, which are the tools. So rather than being one card, Pokemon maybe being a couple of Pokemon might be better, and just decreasing by one is probably more fair than it can attack for free, unless it's not
Yeah,
that good of a Pokemon to start with.
yeah, but I feel like you don't want like I personally don't think seeing bad Pokemon see play is like fun. Um,
Yeah.
I think seeing like unique and rogue Pokemon see play is fun, but like if a card's like inherently like not powerful
Mm,
and like not hitting very hard, it's not as fun. Um, but yeah, and Victor Piece, that's like kind of a cool card. And then let's see, we got G Scoop and G Rooster. So these are both on Genesect EX. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, it won Worlds with G Booster. I might be wrong on that, but it was
Okay.
very good. But G Scope, so these are both attacks, which we've seen
Yep.
rules give attacks, the
Right, like the
TMs, yeah.
rapid strikes, single strike, the TMs, right? And the attack cost is the same for both these grass, colorless.
Yeah. Although I believe the one does say you need to discard 2. But the first one, G Scope, does 100 sniped when your opponent's benched. Which this one did not see play, because the deck had a lot of gust, and you could hit 100. Obviously, that's not that crazy. But then the other deck, I mean, it was a little harder then, but it was still certainly doable.
Yeah.
But then G Booster says it does 200, and then you discard 2 attached to it. This would not be good, right? G Booster would not be good if it came out now, assuming it was actually on a card that we had.
Right, doing 200, you have many other ways to do 200. So, and it hits through effects. So, I mean, I guess if you're worried about the Mimikyu wall, you put this in, but that's a bit absurd. They'd have to, what? It has to be what? I don't even know 280 is enough, right? Because
Yeah,
Giratina
I'd
V
say
Star
300
sets
would
up.
probably be the right amount of damage for this.
So you can't one shot the tanky stage 2 EXs then still.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like that's kind of what it's meant to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think G Scope would probably need to be a little more as well. Like when, I don't know, bench snipe is kind of weird because 100 is enough to snipe most single, not every single prizer, but a lot.
Right, but
But then it
Radiant
doesn't.
Greninja does 90 to 2. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So I'd say this would probably need to be like 180.
Yeah, that way, like you can get the single prize stage 2, right? You can take out the Excalibur or something like that on the bench, right?
Yeah,
As an option, I would think you need to be in
yeah.
that.
Or also you could. I think you should be able to snipe the weakest of multi-prizers, like
Hmm.
Squawkabilly,
Yeah,
Luminion. I was gonna say Crobat, but obviously it's not in format. But things like that.
right.
Um, Mew EX as well. I don't know if you have to, but you should be close to do that. So I'd say like 160, 180. But anyway, I
Hmm.
think these cards are like fine, but they're a little boring because obviously you can only have them on one card. Do you want these cards like this to come back?
I it doesn't. I don't really care because there's things you can do things very close to this right now in the game without using an Ace Spec. So I like I said, they'd have to kick it up a lot. It'd be okay, but I'm hoping there's. I prefer certainly cards that are more universal too. For the Ace Specs, we think about the classic ones can go in almost any deck. So
Yeah, and of these G boosters, I said I believe did win the World Championships.
okay.
It was quite good, but
But I assume the deck it was in was good. Without it
yeah,
was a good deck without this card. I have to assume.
yeah, I do believe it boosted it. Yeah, let's. Oh yeah, so Andrew Strada's Verizon, the classic Virgin deck, which had Verizon Genesect.
Hmm.
Well, obviously Genesect is what it worked with.
Yep.
Um, and you could do, yeah, I mean it was a big good deck. And we might talk about, it was a Team Plasma deck as well, which we might get to, but probably
Okay.
won't.
Right.
Um,
So
and so yeah, and that was like a weird mechanic that wasn't very interesting. The Team Plasma mechanic.
yeah, I mean, I think about it when I played. Right, that's the has the poison cards, right? I believe that were in some annoying,
Uh,
which were in some annoying decks. Was that in it? Was that expanded or legacy?
oh
I
yeah,
don't.
Hypnotoxic Laser. Is that what
Yeah.
you're thinking of?
Yes, which was like annoying decks to play against.
I guess it was in a lot of decks. I'd say the deck that I think of it in is Dark Box,
Hmm.
or Turbo Dark, which was like good, I guess. But like, and it's a Team Plasma card, but it's a Team Plasma card like how Fan of Waves is a Rapid Strike card. It doesn't
Right.
necessarily work with the mechanic. It just happens to be of the same mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So how do you want to? How do you want to go in order now?
Oh, do you want to go to the one we skipped?
Or are you
I feel
saving
like
it
it's
for
easier.
last? Which do you want to do?
No, we'll go to that one. We'll go to that one.
All right, which is computer search, which is the A spec, and the A spec, which if you, that was the one that was just crazy expensive at
Yeah,
PTCGO because it
yeah.
was very
Arguably the
good.
greatest card of all time as well, I think.
Yeah,
But not this version of it. Because this card is actually a direct nerf of another card. Well, actually, of computer search, which was not an A spec. I don't know in the errata rules if you are allowed to play the old A spec. I think you are you? Do you know?
I don't know. Was the old one an A spec as well, or it was pre?
No,
It
no,
was
it
not
was
an A spec. This was like
yeah, it was
pre supporter and everything like that when they were
yeah, it
just
was pre-supporter.
trainers, and yeah,
like research was like was an item,
Yeah.
and there's another card to look at, dowsing machine, which is also like an item, and then there was there was Bill, which was draw two as an item, which then gets shifted to a supporter. But that was like super, like just draw two as an item. It's just like trekking shoes or acrobike, but essentially better. So
Right, as an item is not bad. So computer search, if you're not familiar with it, you discard 2 cards from hand, which, like Ultra Ball and such, it's not crazy bad, and sometimes it's good. But then you search your deck for a card, put it into your hand. So search your deck for any one card. Now, we live in an age where we've been spoiled by Arceus, where we can search for any 2 cards in games.
yeah,
So
and Force Steel Stone and Pidgeot as well, which are one, but they're
yeah,
very good and
so
easy and accessible.
so maybe it seems a less overwhelming as it probably did at the time, right? We have things that are similar to it, but it's still super powerful, right? Obviously, search for any 1 card.
Yeah. So my issue with if this card came out like now or in like the next set,
Hmm.
it's just Force Steel Stone. Like
Right,
it's what you play it once per game. It searches for any card. It's just Force Steel Stone, which makes it seem very. It's not bad. It's very good. Force Steel Stone's very good, and you
right.
don't have to play Pokemon V. But like, it's not that interesting either.
Correct. So, I mean, this, right, for Expanded X, this is just one of the cards to get. But yeah, it's less interesting now. Like you said, it's 4 Seal Stone, but you can play it on EXs or single prize decks. So you'd play it, or with the V decks, you could play both of them, I suppose. So, which would be a good thing too. Um, but yeah, it's not earth shaking, and it's not bringing something new to the game.
Yeah, or even a deck that plays computer search essentially can do whatever it could have done. Like you could just drawn into the card.
Right.
It does allow, so it obviously increases consistency and it discards,
Hmm.
which in certain decks can be really good. But yeah, I don't know. I think do you think they're gonna bring back computer search?
This is like the Ace Spec, right? This is the poster one that everybody remembers. So I'm kind of inclined to say yes, because it kind of embodies Ace Specs in people's minds.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think Ace specs are, um, yeah, I think computer search is the Ace spec, or one of the 2 Ace specs. Do you
Right.
want let's also talk about dowsing machine. I think that goes with it.
Yeah.
Uh, so dowsing machine, you discard 2 cards from your hand, and then you put a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand,
Yep.
which is obviously very good as it allows you to cover essentially anything, not anything, but pretty close.
Right.
Um, and it gives you access to like another copy of something.
Yep.
Um, Versus Seeker was super good, and it was at the same time, but
Right.
now we don't have Versus Seeker. This kind of can act as a Versus Seeker, which covers as a porter, so you can like get an extra gust. You can get draw. Essentially, it's a bailout of any situation unless you're Ion to 1, in which case it's not. But even
Right.
then, like it's okay. I don't know.
Right. You have to have
It's a very good card.
2 other cards to discard. I play more Mad Party and Expanded, so I pulled this from a pack. But also this is the better card for Mad Party, because generally it was debatable. There are certain decks Dowsing Machine was better. Most decks Computer Search was better, depending how the game flow worked. Right. There were a lot of cards to discard from Battle Compressor, that just you discarded cards from your deck like at will, essentially, at the start of the game. Obviously paired well with Dowsing Machine.
Yeah, although it was kind of weird because you are that well, then it's just like computer search, right?
Correct. Yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously for decks that want stuff in the discard, Dowsing Machine's generally better. Computer Search was better for most decks. But
Yeah, I mean, dowsing machine gives you more sustainability late game. Like,
yes.
you can run 1 copy of more cards,
Hmm.
that you might, and then if you like have to research it away early, it's like okay, I guess I can get it back.
Right.
Versus computer search is like super turbo.
Hmm.
Um, or if you, I mean, it's good. Like computer search is never bad. It's directly better than Ultra Ball. Essentially, you can't fail computer search. That's one thing I don't think everyone knows. You're not allowed
Oh,
to
okay.
fail computer search, because
It's any
um,
card, and you don't because you don't reveal it.
yeah, the reason you are allowed to fail Ultra Ball is because it's possible to not have any Pokemon.
Hmm.
So it's more so of an accountability thing, um, I guess.
Right.
and so that's
Because
kind of why it is
right, like
that way.
with Ultra Ball, if you chose not to, if you didn't have it, you'd have to prove it. You'd have to show your opponent your deck, which obviously you don't want to. They don't want to make you do that, so you can just fail it if you want. Um, Now, there's no way to recover an Ace Spec from the discard pile, was there? I'm trying to think
I mean,
if
nothing
there was.
like specific. I mean, so in Legacy there was,
Hmm.
which okay, so Legacy, the cards in Legacy, like the what was the era Heart Soul Silver, I think.
Yes, yeah, Heartcodes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so those cards were never in standard, I believe, at the same time as the Ace Specs, but in Legacy they were. So you could
Okay.
use the somewhat confusingly worded Junk Arm, which I believe has like the
Hmm.
same wording as Dowsing Machine, but it
Yeah.
actually did something different. But it could recover the
That's
Ace
true.
Specs.
But the legacy cards, the Heart Soul Gold, Soul Silver cards, are not coming to live. I don't believe. Right? They're pre-expanded, and if you had it in your collection, you've lost them. So I don't think lives Pokemon's ever going to bring them back to.
Yeah, and they
Our,
weren't really that interesting, honestly.
yeah, well, and that was a closed meta, right? There was a beginning and an ending, and those are the only cards you could ever use. So
For Legacy,
legacy, yeah.
yeah,
So, but basically, you couldn't recover these. They were almost well, it wasn't lost zone. They were almost to that extent. Pretty much, you played it once, you didn't recover it, which was good because they were powerful in that sense.
yeah. Well, actually, there was one because you can recover. We can recover tools easier.
Oh, that's
But
true. That's
so
true.
we'll get to that though. Then we have Scramble Switch. To me, Scramble Switch is also
Hmm.
pretty iconic, but I don't know if it actually is, but it's pretty funny. It enabled the was it the Dialga V Star, Giratina Garchomp, Electrode EX, no Electro GX, Bronzong. Um, it has some other. It had obviously this.
Okay.
I don't remember. There's some like combo that would like and then
Was
service
yeah.
Prism Star and like
Oh, to
win
get
you the game
energies.
on. No, it was the combo where you'd like take like an extra turn and like get rid of all your opponent's Pokemon and just like win.
Oh yeah. I mean, what it
Um,
says, if you're not familiar, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Then you may move as many energy attached to the old active Pokemon to the new active Pokemon as you like. So obviously, Dialga V Star was piled up with energy, so you get the next Pokemon with huge energy.
yeah, the way the combo worked was there's a certain card which we'll probably talk about, which is it was a Prism Star that like discarded a bunch of your opponent's Pokemon.
Hmm.
And then and so they'd only have three Pokemon in play, and then you'd use Dialga V-Star to take a KO and take an extra turn, and then you'd use Giratina and Garchomp. But you need a bunch of energy, so you need 5 energy on your Dialga and then 6 energy on your Giratina and Garchomp. So you just might as well share the energy between them using Scramble Switch. And so you'd have and then you take the extra turn, and then like your opponent has two Pokemon in play, you just discard them with Giratina and Garchomp,
Yep.
which I guess was good. Expanded is a bit of a mess, so it's kind of hard to tell. But
Right, and obviously, and by that you just mean expanded, as it actually is. Obviously, it's even more of a mess in live and expanded.
I don't know if I'd say live
Well,
expand is more of a. I'd say the format itself is better.
because it's more restricted, it's not as broad.
Yeah, you can't like you don't have these absurdly broken cards. Like the Ace
Yeah.
specs are some of them are absurdly broken, but I don't know if I'd quite say they are. But then there's as you said, Battle Compressor. I mentioned
Hmm.
Verse Seeker.
Yeah.
Um, there's some pretty silly stuff.
Right. The one thing for players like us that we've played with some of these cards and expanded, but we weren't playing Pokemon back when these were in standard. So
Or
the
not as much anyway.
yeah. But so when they're in standard, you have a smaller set of cards, so they're not doing the crazy shenanigans that you think of in expanded. So even if they come back like Scramble Switch, you're not going to pull off a combination like you could do in expanded with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because generally it's like cards from like 10 years, and you need all the cards from like each different block to all like come together.
Yeah.
And then we said Dowsing Machine. I'll skip the two tools for now, I guess. There's Scoop Up Cyclone and Master Ball.
Hmm.
Let's talk about actually Master Ball first.
Okay.
Master Ball is it's the simplest one. To me, this is also one of the more like iconic ones.
Hmm.
And it says just search your deck for any Pokemon, right? Which is
Ultra
very
Ball.
simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Except
Once
you
you
don't
don't
have to discard.
discard,
I right.
yeah.
It
Same as Pokekid, or is that what it was?
was that. Oh yeah, some of the theme decks. Yeah, it was your supporter, right? You search for a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, it's very simple, but it's fine. I mean, it's not like a bad inclusion in a deck, but
Right.
I mean, it's good in fact, but it's worse than like, I'd rather search anything than any Pokemon.
Right. You're probably going to play computer search or dowsing machine, depending what you need to do, than this, which is why. And there were times in the format in standard when there wasn't Pokemon search, really, right? And so I'm not sure if this was one of those times that this card was at a
Yeah,
time with limited
I don't
search.
know about that. I don't think so. I don't remember exactly, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
and
But
also playing like one Pokemon search versus zero Pokemon search isn't like that good. I mean, I
right.
guess it is better, but
But there were times there was almost no Pokemon search, right, in the
there
game.
wasn't like there were times
Not
when there wasn't like
much.
universal Pokemon search.
Right.
Um,
So, but
so
yeah,
then the
but
types that like had Pokemon search were really good.
right. But when you look at Search for Pokemon, Ultra Ball does that. It's like I can't imagine if they reprinted it, they would see much play.
Yeah, I will say though, I think they are going to reprint Master Ball.
Okay. And I do like the image. I like the graphics, so it's kind of
Yeah.
funny looking.
Do you think it's coming back?
Yeah, I mean it's one I recognize the name of, so it has name recognition. So it probably does, unless they wanted to make it to buff it, in which case they should change the name, right?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of bad if like we got computer search that was like different,
Right. If you're going to
or Master Ball
reprint, it
that's
should be
different.
identical, or it could be some related name if they want to make Master Ball better. Like, like today it'd be like search for any two Pokemon, right? That might make it maybe in consideration or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
I think search for two Pokemon would be pretty good.
You think is that too
Uh,
good?
it might be too good.
It
It's
could
very
be.
good. Um, we don't have Dedenne, but we do have Squawk. Like we have Battle VIP Pass, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much better. It's not only usable beyond turn one, but it's also not just basics.
Right. You get
Um,
evolutions too. So.
yeah, I think if it was search for two basics, it probably wouldn't be good enough.
Mhm.
I
Right.
don't know. I think search for two Pokemon is pretty good. And I don't certainly have a problem with them being good because they're
Hmm.
supposed to be good. That's like their whole thing.
Right. I mean, just Master Ball the way it is. I don't. I'm not rushing to put it in any decks if it came out.
Yeah. And then scoop up Cyclone.
Yep.
Put one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to into your hand. So this is like
Do we? I
it's
mean,
not exactly like anything, is it?
no. I mean, you have like Sharon's Care, but that's only for colorless Pokemon, right?
And damage Pokemon as
And
well.
damage,
Um,
right? Right. There's
Acerola was any type but damaged.
right. There's ones that scoop up any Pokemon, but then you discard what's attached, right?
Yeah, so there have been a few cards like that. And then there's been Scoop Up Net, which is an item,
Right.
which this is most comparable to. But then and then there's also Penny, which is basics and all cards attached. But yeah, so this is like Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is probably one of the most controversial cards of recently. I guess like it got banned. I
Well,
think the only
because of the
card like
EXs,
past
though, right?
banned.
Because it didn't say non-rule box. I think because it said
Y-
Vs and GXs were
Yeah,
excluded.
but also yeah, both EXs, both old EXs and new EXs.
Right.
Um,
Before the new X's got reprinted, you could. It was legal and expanded. You could scoop up the old EXs with Scoop Up Net, right?
Yeah, and this was problematic with Shaman EX, which got banned, might get unbanned. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I said, we said expanded's like kind of a mess and not really upkept very well, but um, it's very
Hmm.
it's very very good. But I think this card would be really cool, and I hope Scoop Up Cyclone gets reprinted. I think I heard
Hmm.
someone in some video say that they thought it was going to be reprinted, and yeah, I think it's a really fun card. It's obviously there's all the scoop up things, just
Hmm.
switching, healing, and potentially using abilities as well.
Yeah, no, I like it as a card. It's a Scoop Up Net for any type of Pokemon at all, but you only have one copy in your deck, so I think it makes it fair. It's a card that certainly, if it was printed, would see play. Would certainly deserve consideration for a number of decks. Right? It's ones you and I would think about putting in some decks.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I don't think it was that good before. I think it was okay, but I think now it would be better because like some of the cards, a lot of the cards in standard have synergy with Scoop Up Net,
Yeah.
um, or would have synergy with Scoop Up Net.
Yeah.
Notably Lost Zone.
Right. So yeah, I think it would be interesting, but not overpowered. So it'd be I think nice to just reprint this one.
Yeah. Um, and then we have the tools. So we have Rock Guard and Life Dew. Well, we have other tools, but these are the universal tools. Rock
Hmm.
Guard. And these are like normal tools as well. I mean, they're Ace Specs, but aside from that, I think they're normal.
Hmm.
And Rock Guard says if the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active and is damaged by your opponent's attack, put 6 damage cards on the attacking Pokemon. This is bad.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because it's just not good. I mean, even if I were to play like what is the like the V that can have like 4 tools or something, I'm not playing this in
Yeah, I
that
mean you
deck
can't play 4 of
probably.
it, but
No,
you're
but I wouldn't
saying
even include
one of
one
this and
copy
then
probably, right?
yeah.
I
I
mean,
would say if I could put
maybe.
4 copies on, I
Oh,
might,
oh yeah, if I
because
could
that'd be
have four
funny.
copies, yes. But
Like they attack you and then they die. But
right, it's yeah, it's a highly underwhelming card. So I don't know if they're going to preprint stuff like this that didn't see much play, that once again would not see play. I don't know.
yeah, it'd be worse now than it was, and it wasn't good before.
Yeah,
I'd say this needs to be. I'd say if it was 12, it would be playable. Maybe.
maybe. I mean, yeah, if they're going to reprint it, that's probably the number it should go to, something like that.
Yeah, because then you look at Dracozolt VMAX, right, which
Right.
is
That does that
12.
exactly. Yeah. And
I mean, it does damage as well. It's a little different, but
right.
its effect is the same. And so
And
I
we
think
have
Rock
the
Guard's like
punch that puts what's that put the punch tools at 8
yeah,
4.
yeah. Ventral, no. So that's you think your box of disaster. Ventral punch is 4. Box of
Okay.
disaster is 8.
Okay.
Box of disaster needs to be a V and one shotted. Ventral punch is just anything whenever you're knocked out.
Right.
So and I think is Rocky Helmet in format? I don't think it is, but I think it rotated last format,
I
but that
think
was 2, which is what this is based off of. Which didn't really see
yeah.
any play, but
Right.
yeah. So Rocky Helmet is bad.
Yeah, Rock Guard wasn't good, and I don't know if they want to print these not so good ones or not. So, Life Dew is a more interesting one. The other tool, if the Pokemon this card's attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes one fewer prize card, which certainly has value. They have the with the Sylveon deck, whatever its tool was, the
Yeah, the
VMAX.
ribbon badge, I think.
Yeah, they had did the same thing, one fewer prize, but this goes on any Pokemon. But of course, you can only have one in deck, so I think that would have value. I don't think it's overpowered, but it's a consideration to play.
Yeah, I think the issue it can be recovered, right? It can be recovered super
Oh,
easily.
y-
I'm trying to think.
yeah,
You have what Roseanne's backup?
Roseanne's, yeah, and obviously you have the stadium to draw tools, so you could
Oh yeah, town store or
town,
whatever.
yeah, so you could stream it potentially. That's obviously a problem.
Yeah. But then I don't know. I don't know if it would be broken. Like the ribbon badge from Sylveon's been essentially a non-factor, which is crazy. Like Sylveon's good, but or it's not great, but it's seen play. But the ribbon badge isn't even always played in that deck. Obviously, it doesn't
Right.
put it like when you think of life. Do you think of going from 1 prize to 0? But with
No.
Sylveon,
Right.
well,
With Sylveon, I
yeah, you
possibly.
can't do that.
Right. With Sylveon, you're
But what
going
I was
from
thinking,
3 to 2 usually. So, if you're
yeah, or 2 to 1.
right.
But yeah, so life do obviously going from 1 to 0 is a big deal. If you're looping that, then you are invincible, kind essentially.
Right. And one of the decks is people get frustrated by Snorlax Stall as it being a good control deck. I guess it certainly could make a control deck that's just unbeatable, and that's we don't want to encourage too much of that.
Yeah, I think this would. Yeah, I think this would see play in Snorlax Stall.
Well, it definitely would, yes, and maybe
Well, you
open up.
could play like Life Do or Dowsing Machine, or no, sorry, you could play Dowsing Machine or Computer Search as well, which would also make it better.
It would, yes.
By a noticeable margin. I think specifically Dowsing Machine allowing you to get a 5th counter catcher, like that just seems not so fun.
Right.
But I think Life Do could be cool. I don't know. It's a weird card. But like, because it mostly is top lane control, but you could put
Mhm.
this in any deck and it could be good, right?
Right. Yeah, as long as it doesn't make control, I like some control cards. Control being too powerful, too easy is bad, but aspects of control are good. And yeah, and trying to make if it can make single prize decks a little more viable. Right now, they have to take in essence eight prizes, right? Because they don't get a prize that one turn. Helps out.
Wait, 8 prizes?
Well, 7 prizes, right? They have to draw their
Oh
6
yeah,
plus the
yeah,
one that they don't get a prize to, additionally.
yeah.
So it could give maybe some life there.
Yeah. So in terms of like, do you think are you looking forward to the Ace Spec mechanic coming back?
Yeah, I mean, A specs were something that were enjoyable in the expanded format before for me, since I wasn't using them in standard at the time. Um, so I liked them. I thought they were good cards. I think one copy of a very good card, it's a nice thing. I think.
Yeah. I think a weird thing is that they're gonna presumably be in format at the same time as Radiant Pokemon, which is like Radiant Pokemon are, as you said, like the same thing, but
Right.
obviously not like the same thing. It's not like I wouldn't say it's like problematic, but it's just a little weird.
Well,
Um,
well, before
and I think
because
Radiants have been cool as well, which you said, but there some are better than others.
yeah, well, and then the other one type that's also is the Prism Stars, which we may talk about. But that were Prism Stars in format with the Ace Specs?
No, no,
Okay,
because the Ace specs were black and white, and then X and Y came out,
okay,
and then after and then Sun and Moon, the Prism Stars came out. So
okay. So there was a whole expand a whole big set in between. Okay, all right. So they didn't
but
overlap
with
before. All right.
yeah, but then with Prism Stars, obviously they're Prism Star. I don't think we really need to talk about the Prism Star Pokemon. They're kind of like Radiants. They're kind of fun, but they're like
hmm
whatever.
Well, in
Um,
the Prism Stars, for those who aren't familiar with the mechanic, it's another one where you can only have one Prism. No, you can have one copy of the Prism Star in deck, right? But you can
yes, you
have
can have one of each.
right. So they're different than the A specs and the Radiance. You can have as many different ones as you want, and there were 27. So most decks didn't play many, though.
Yeah, a lot of them were type specific. The Pokemon are essentially all type specific, except for Ditto Prism. Ditto Prism's like super cool. I think it's regarded by a lot of people as one of the coolest cards like ever. I mean, it's not complicated. It can just evolve into any stage one,
hmm
which is just gives you a bit more consistency and versatility. It allows for some cool things.
Right.
So
And you could only play
it's
one in the deck, and you couldn't do it the first turn or the first turn it was in play. So that was good. It
yeah.
didn't
I mean,
make it
it's like
overpowered.
regular evolution, right? Um,
Right. But it's a Zoroark without having to get your stage
except
one
it's
in
not.
play.
Yeah. And then it's like splashable Zorak, and then it also Ace Specs or sorry, not Prism
Prism
Stars
Stars.
go to the lost zone instead of the discard. I don't remember if you said that.
No, did not.
Um,
Yeah, good
but that
point.
is an important aspect. You cannot recover them.
Yep.
Uh, that does mean if they got milled, they go to the lost zone.
Right.
It's kind of weird. I think when you look at Prism Stars, there a lot of them are pretty good.
hmm
They have their Pokemon supporters and special energy in stadiums. Um,
Yeah.
Thunder Mountain was really good. Uh, like super important.
hmm
Lightning, and so obviously if you didn't hit that, like it wasn't great. Diancie Prism was good. Obviously Pokemon are searchable. Stadiums are not really searchable. Um,
Right.
but do you
Uh,
want to talk about this the Prism Stars, or do you
yeah.
think
Well,
they're
just to
obviously
clarify.
pretty different?
Well, the other thing with the stadiums is they don't get bumped by an item or a supporter, right?
Yeah.
Which was a big deal. So you had the only way to bump it generally was to bump it with another stadium. Um, so they would stay in play better than typical stadiums, which was a factor.
Yeah.
Um,
One thing I want to say about the life do and cards like that, you
mhm,
can in the current meta you would be able to lost vacuum them as well, which would be a big deal,
mhm.
potentially.
Right. So you can't get rid of it that way. So,
But you can't get it back. Oh no, I was saying with the like life do with the
oh,
ace spec.
you couldn't get it. Yeah. Okay.
But then yeah, you can't bump them. You can't bump the Prism Star stadiums with
hmm
lost vacuum if they were in the same form, but they're
Right.
not.
I mean, I'll just we don't want to get into the specifics of the cards because there's a lot of them, and they're not coming back. At least not immediately. Maybe down the road they will. I believe there was Prism Stars for all the different types in the Pokemon, as I'm kind of skimming through, which is nice, kind of like Radiance in that regard. Um, but so in the energies, trainers, and Pokemon, so it was nice that they had the full range.
Yeah, I will say Super Boost Energy and Beast Energy, both Prism Star cards,
hmm
are pretty cool cards. I would not be opposed to seeing those appear, not identically, certainly not Beast Energy identically. That wouldn't do anything. But Super Boost Energy, Prism Star, or something like
hmm
Paradox Energy, Prism Star would be cool to return as as Ace Specs. I think energies as
Hmm.
Ace Specs could be fine. I think that's a special energies can be good, but I don't think they're defining of the game in the same way that like supporters can be. I don't know if I'm wrong on that, but that's my thought.
Hmm. If they wanted to put some energies in the Ace Specs coming up, you'd be
Yeah.
good with it. Yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And I don't know. I assume they're not going to do Pokemon for the Ace Specs like they were Prism Stars.
Yeah, I think that'd be weird. I don't really want that because then they're very much overlapping with Radiance.
Yeah.
Um, and they could be cool, but honestly, the Radiants were okay. They're cool, but like Radiant Greninja is just so much better, and it's like the most universal as well. So
Right. Yep.
it's like if you're not sure which one you want, you probably want Radiant Greninja.
Yeah. Just make sure you don't run into stall if you're not can't attack with it, and it can't
Yeah,
stream attacks anyway. So it is a question there, but otherwise, yeah, it's very good.
yeah, but that's probably true with most of the Radiants anyway. Like Radiant Alakazam or Radiant Serena, you're not attacking with those in your decks anyway, unless you are that type.
Right. I I mean, as I'm looking at the Radiants here, which everyone knows, there's 15 of them. What have I play? One, two, what? There's three or four that I kind of play some. Radiant Alakazam goes
Wait,
in the decks.
which
Radiant Greninja, obviously. Radiant Charizard, definitely, and then Radiant Alakazam. I would
I
say
know you
those.
said that twice.
Which one?
You Radiant Alakazam, you said twice, I
Well,
think.
for three. So Greninja,
Oh,
Charizard, Alakazam. Those are the ones I play
yeah,
mostly. Maybe Serena a little bit. I've played
yeah. Serena's
Jirachi as well, but
yeah. Radiant Hisuian Sneasler is coming back as well. In the
oh
cloth
yeah,
deck
right,
and
yeah,
in
the
you could
poison.
play it in I
That's
guess people
true.
don't play it in Roaring Moon, but you
Hmm.
could.
Yeah, it's true. I've
Yeah, and
played that one
anyway,
too. But yeah, a lot of them. Oh, and I kind of like Radiant Heat Train. But anyway, but most of them, even half of them, even I pretty much ignore. I would say.
yeah. Anyway, so I think I want to talk about now the ancient
Hmm.
and future, the paradox Pokemon take a bit of a turn
Okay.
because they were revealed together. The paradox mechanic has been, in my opinion, well, first of all, I want to hear your opinions on the mechanic so far because we've
Um.
talked about it a bunch, but like,
Right. In our last episode, we talked about battle styles, and it's similar to that, obviously, because it has Pokemon trainers and there's not energy yet, correct?
no,
Just energy in the tool name, but for
yeah,
whatever reason. So yeah, I like it. I think it brings a good thing to the game, and I'm glad that we are getting definitely more. Right when the first came out, we weren't sure. It seemed like there'd be more, but we weren't positive. So now we know there's more coming. So that it's a good thing.
yeah. I would say I've been a little disappointed with not the cards. I think the cards are cool. I think
Hmm.
let's see which I've seen. Iron Valiant, Screamtail, Iron Hands, Brute
Hmm.
Bonnet, and Roaring Moon. Brute Bonnet hasn't seen. I guess it's seen a decent amount in like Cloth.
Right, but not in
They're
Roaring
all pretty
Moon,
cool.
which
It sometimes sees play, but not always.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have synergy with it either. Um, I would say though that like they're not really as you said, they're not like they don't work together. They're not a cohesive unit
Right.
at all. I don't think they all have to be, but I think there should be some sense of that
Hmm.
cohesion, and there isn't. So I think and also there's apparently not going to be evolutions. It appears,
Hmm.
which to me is a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Uh, and there isn't a special energy yet. So I think I really want a special energy for them.
Right. I mean, it's ancient booster energy capsule, future booster energy capsule. How can it not? How can there not be an energy that this
Yeah.
ties into
So I think the reason it's that way is it in the video
in
game
the
it's
video
just called
game?
booster energy.
Okay.
Um, but it's a tool. Like it's an I think it's called a held item, but it essentially functions as a tool, which is why it's that way. If it was
Okay.
just called booster energy and it's just a
Hmm.
tool, that'd be I think worse. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, I think it's like the logical way where it makes sense like that. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I do think we need some energy.
You need some energy. We only have the two supporters, and they're
Yeah,
good
we're gonna
supporters.
see future booster energy.
Exactly.
Um,
That's what I'm hoping for, right? Just like the all those rapid battle styles energies too. What was what and what worked with what. But anyway, yeah, just basics is disappointing. Like with the battle styles, obviously their decks would pair together with certain groupings, and they had flexibility. And there are a lot more cards, right? I don't think we're gonna get as many in here as the battle styles. I can't
It's kind
imagine.
of weird because Battle Styles was 1 year, essentially just 1 year, and
Right,
that's clearly not what they're doing with Paradox Pokemon, because it came out at the end of the year. So I don't know
right.
how many sets. I don't know if we are going to get Battle Style. We could get, or I don't know if we're going to get.
The paradox.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get Paradox throughout the whole of next year. I would be shocked if we do. I don't expect we're going to get them beyond the next year, but I think that's probably fine.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we're not going to get a ton of them. The next set, which the next release is in Japan, and our next full set in March will tell us a lot. Are there going? We're getting some paradox within the special set, correct?
And no, I
Or
don't
no,
think
we're just
so.
getting some
Oh
Terra,
yeah, we are. We might be.
or maybe not, or maybe I'm thinking
I don't really
we're getting
remember.
some Terra Pokemon with that. That part's confirmed.
Okay, maybe. I think we are getting. There was a Great Tusk and a
Okay.
Iron Treads revealed. That
Hmm.
was Paradox. I don't remember if they're coming in.
The special set or
Um,
the full set later.
yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'll check on Justin Basil's
Hmm.
website to see what we know. So we get Oh yeah, so Temporal Forces, which Temporal Forces sounds like Paradox, right?
Hmm. So
Because like
that's the next full set.
yeah, that's next full set. I should guess
In
is confirmed.
Okay.
And we
Yeah,
essentially don't know anything about that.
we have the date and a name. I think is what they know at this point.
Yeah. According to Justin Basil, there are Iron Leaves EX and Walking Wake EX are two speculations, and
Okay.
then three gym promos: a Tinkatongue and Garganacl and a Rhyfort. What's a Rhyfort? It's a trainer apparently, a
Okay.
supporter. But yeah, I don't remember. Okay, yeah, we are getting Great Tusk and
Hmm.
Iron Treads EX. Both those are EXs, and they're Paradox coming in the next set. Um,
The next full
uh,
set or the next partial?
the mini set.
Okay. All right.
So that'll be fine, I guess. But then we only have a few left. I think those are. Um, so first of all, do you think we're gonna get Koraidon and Miraidon as Paradox Pokemon?
I I'm not sure. I think I don't know. Pokemon might surprise us either. I think it could go either way. Personally, they don't
Yeah,
always do those things as expected. So I'm not sure. But they're bringing some into things. So I don't know.
yeah, it's kind of weird. They're kind of pseudo Paradox Pokemon, and they've also already each had I think one single prize, or if they had I don't know, but then they've also each had two EXs already.
So
I feel like
they've printed as many cards as you generally expect of
yeah,
that.
I guess they did print like three Zacian Vs, though, right, and three Zamazenta Vs.
That's true. Yeah, something
So
like
I
that.
guess it's possible because they had the base set Vs,
Hmm.
the Social base set, which are both very good. They had the Celebrations ones, which were different types,
Yeah.
and then they had and the other ones with the V Stars.
Right.
So, but those were like later. Those were spread out a bunch.
Right.
I don't
That's what
think
I
we're
was
gonna have
saying.
like
Yeah, they've spread out. They're very come at very different times. So it might be all we're getting. So, but even if we get those or not, we're not going to get a ton more of these
yeah. Well,
paradox
there
Pokemon,
is
right?
well no, I think so. We are because so first of all, there's Fluttermane and Iron Thorns.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are, I guess, pretty prominent. I don't know, they're just some of
Mm-hmm.
them, and we are going to get those, and then also the DLC. So we got Iron Leaves,
Yeah.
Iron Crown, Raging Bolt, and Walking Awake. I honestly don't know if all those are DLC,
Mm-hmm.
but the DLC will drive the next sets, because Battle
Mm-hmm.
Styles, Chilling Rain were both based off of the two DLCs. So
Yeah.
I would not be shocked that would correlate to our first and second sets of this year, which would make sense as
Mm-hmm.
Paradox
Okay.
Pokemon.
The other piece, which I think is even bigger than the Pokemon, is the trainers. They need more trainers to make
Yeah,
it really rich. Because like obviously the supporters are both good. Sada's Vitality is very good. Professor Turo's secret
Professor Tower is
scenario.
probably better.
It's more universal, right? It
Yeah.
goes into things partly just to counter stall. Sometimes people are playing it just for that,
Um. Yeah, I guess
as
it's not
well
the
as to
best.
get
I
a
mean, Meteor is
damage.
a better counter to stall.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting a Pokemon damaged Pokemon out of play, or Squawkabilly, something that you just don't want sitting around, is a good thing. but I think they need some more trainers. Ideally, some more supporters, and the other trainers, they have the two capsules, which are fine, and then Earthen Vessel, which is really good for a lot of things, and then Techno Radar, which I don't remember what that one does. I got to look at it. So,
It's
that one,
discard one, search for two future
future.
Pokemon, which is
Okay.
fine. I mean, I play it some. It's just fine.
Yeah, if you're doing future, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't
if
done
you're
a
doing
lot
Iron
with
Valley, yeah.
the Paradox yet, but obviously Earthen Vessel goes into splashes in a lot of decks.
Yeah, Earthen Vessel is really good. Arguably the best card from the set. I think it's either that or Counter Catcher, right?
Yeah, I think yes, and I was for maybe Counter Catcher, but yeah, they're both very good in very
Yeah.
universal.
So I think there's not too much else to say this episode, right?
No, I think no. So, but
there's one new card that's coming out in the mini set that I think I want to highlight for you. I think you might have seen this one already.
okay,
But I'd say it again. It's Nemona's backpack. Put for 2 Nemona from your disco pile into your hand. Doesn't that sound super good?
Hey, what's Nemona do?
That's the hop. How?
Draws 3.
Yeah.
So that's an item to recover.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You know what you do? You have that, and then you get the two Nemonas, and then you compute. Then you have a computer search. So now you have your 2 cards to get rid of with computer search, and that's what they're preparing us for with a card like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, honestly, I think it's bad. I think it's not that bad though. Like,
unless there's going to be like some a Pokemon attack shenanigans, right? And which I would like that, right? An attack that does something weird based on how many of this very mediocre supporter you have in hand.
Yeah, I will say that because there was a card, there's Looker, which is like hop from the bottom of your deck,
right?
And there's Looker Whistle, which is kind of like the Nemona's backpack, I think. But the only idea, obviously, Nemona grows your hand. It's not the best, but it does. And then Nemona's backpack also grows your hand. So in a deck like Tinkaton or when there's like hand-sized decks,
right,
it could be somewhat okay, but not great still.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could. So, I mean, like the Snorlax that recovers leftovers, right? That goes to hand too, right? So,
yeah,
and that's better, probably for a deck.
Well, yeah, but you're not playing the leftovers down and then like recovering them.
That's true. That's true. So, whereas you play one card and you draw 3, and you still have the other one that you recovered of the supporter. So, yeah. So you can work on decks with that. So, but I don't know it's going too far. So, yeah. So hopefully more Paradox Pokemon and such, and hopefully the Ace Specs are coming out soon. And go ahead.
I hope they're actually like revealed as well. They kind of got like revealed and like unrevealed. Not unrevealed, but they just like stopped talking about them.
Yeah, their messaging's weird. That when they talk and they don't talk, and they build excitement and let the ball drop. It's a little odd. Sometimes.
Yeah, there was the reveal of like Zacian V, but it looked like it had like 340 health, and like it was like super. It looked like it was. I don't remember exactly how they revealed it, but it looked like it was like absurdly broken. Obviously, Zacian V ends up being arguably absurdly broken, but it looked like it was substantially better than it actually was. So.
Yeah, when they put together the art for the promo, it wasn't quite how it should have been. So.
I mean, they do that on purpose, I guess.
Yeah, they try to keep certain things secret, keep people guessing, and get people talking is part of it. And obviously, look,
and it works, right? They make a lot of money. And people, I like Pokemon. I like Pokemon as well a lot. So.
They know what they're doing in most things outside of live. We could say,
yep.
So that's the one big exception. But they built a very successful company. It loved by many, by ourselves and our listeners. And anything else as we wrap up here?
I think that's it. That's probably it. We will be, I guess, in the future doing a year-end review of some kind.
Yes.
So, you could comment ideas down below. We cannot confirm that we're going to include them because we might like record because our sometimes recording schedule is kind of weird. But
right.
We will definitely have community involvement within that as well.
We're going to probably put up voting for different categories, we think, with things to vote on. But if you have categories you think should be best of categories that we might not think of, put that in the comments below.
Yeah. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, consider subscribing to our channels and just checking out the other ones. We have a lot. We have like what, 47 is what you said, 48.
This is 47, 46 other
Yes.
episodes. Skip the first couple ones probably.
Yeah. I mean, they're fine. I guess. I think that that we talk about some interesting stuff on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as always, comment down below your thoughts on the podcast, on the cards as well, and ideas for the podcast. And if you enjoyed it, of course, like the video, and subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Check out both the channels. Check it
Yep.
out on Spotify. There are lots of different ways to do it. And we have other content on our channels. But we hope you enjoyed. As always, we're excited to see you the next podcast.
Take care.